Hello, everybody. Welcome to Kodo People Talks, to this second episode. Today, we have a very special guest that I appreciate a lot. I met her back in 2020 when the pandemic started, when I started to raise my network in the States and internationally. And she invited me to join her podcast with John Thurman, HR Social Hour podcast, probably the most famous HR podcast, I would say. And I was there twice, so I'm forever grateful for that. And this wonderful person is Wendy Dailey. Wendy Dailey, welcome to the show. How are you, friend?
I am well. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be your second guest on the show, and excited to see where you take this podcast. Um, your voice needs to be out there, Fran. So I'm so excited that you're doing this.
Thank you again for always being available. Let's talk about, for those who don't know you, that I think there are not too many people that don't know you, but you are a former podcaster
Mhm.
for 5 years.
Yeah,
HR Social Hour podcast with John Thurman, almost 300 episodes, which is
yeah,
absolutely
mind
great.
blowing.
Yeah, mind blowing. Uh, you are a scout leader. Also,
Yeah.
you're an entrepreneur with your daily scoop ice cream business, which is
Yeah.
great. I love ice cream, by the way. Um, and also, you recently shifted your career.
I did.
You transitioned from Sanford Health to Mineral,
Hmm.
and as a HR content writer, yeah, please tell us a little bit about this shift. First of all, right? Because we know to know, yeah, probably this is gonna resonate with many folks that are transitioning right now, and it's important from you to get your perspective about this thing, no?
Yeah, it was interesting when the opportunity came up and I stopped to think about it. Um, so when I was a kid, going back to one of the questions John and I would ask you were a kid, what career did you dream of? I wanted to be a writer. And specifically I wanted to be like Laura Ingalls Wilder and, write history, fictional history, but who would want to read about a kid growing up in South Dakota in the 80s is kind of what I thought. And shifted because, I was told you're not going to make any money as a writer and blah, 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 blah. So, um, kind of fell
Limiting
into
beliefs.
human resources after college and after a couple of different fits and starts. I spent some time in the legal field, fell into HR, fell into recruiting, talent acquisition, which I really enjoyed doing. I really enjoyed doing that. I enjoy helping, working with our hiring managers and helping them be better at recruitment, at talent acquisition, at selection, working with candidates, talking with them. Um, but in the back of my head was always that little thing, and so I started writing, a blog on my own, started
Yeah.
writing about HR stuff, got invited to, the big national HR conference to write for them. John and I started the podcast as we were also doing a lot of different things with Twitter chats,
Yeah.
and really enjoyed it. I mean, it was a side gig. It was gave me some enjoyment of it. I got to do a little bit of that, and then stayed in the HR field. Um, but then this opportunity to be an actual content writer and in
Yeah.
HR. So I could use my
Yeah.
expertise, I could use the information and knowledge that I had gained over the last 20 plus years, and turn it into writing. And the biggest thing we complain about as HR professionals is the people who don't listen to us. We give them advice, but then we also have to take responsibility for it. And I kind of joke now, the great Vadim Lieberman likes to say he doesn't want to actually work, he just wants to write about it. Well, I don't want to actually do HR, but I do enjoy writing about it. So I kind of got the best of both worlds. But it wasn't a decision I took lightly. I didn't just jump into it. I took time to complete the application. Talked with a lot of different people. So, like, I talked with Vadim, I talked with Lori Rudiman, I talked with Ann Tompkinson, and just kind of feel it out. I would be leaving this career that I had built to do something adjacent to it. It was no longer going to be in HR. Things I thought about, would that hurt my career if I decided to go back? If I wanted
Mm.
to go back into talent acquisition, be a recruiter, would people say, well, you weren't for X amount of time, so now you have to start all over? Because I have been there before.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've lost jobs in the past to layoffs, 9/11, and different things. And there's been a lot of times that I've had to start over in a lot of organizations, even now. I think, well, I shouldn't say that. It's probably changing a little bit now, but they would make you start over. If you took any sort of break, you'd start completely over from scratch. You're brand new to it. So I worried about those things a little bit. But I remember talking with Anne, and she was like, Wendy, this is what you've wanted to do.
For
Why?
so long.
For a long, long time. Why are you hesitating? And it's that, that fear that, I'm taking a leap here. Is this something I'm going to be good at? I, like many folks, I have a little bit of that imposter syndrome of, like,
Yeah,
do I
yeah.
have the skills? Do I have the talent? Do I have the desire to write full time? And there were, some competing priorities and some different things. And I talked with my husband, and I talked with my boss at Sanford, and a couple of different things, going through all of that. And I finally, I got the
Yeah.
offer, kind of went back and forth with Sanford, and just finally said, you know what? I need to take the leap. I need to do this. It's something that I've always wanted to do. It's worthwhile for my family. It's worthwhile for me. Um, And yeah, so I said yes, and Mineral said yes to me too. It's a two
Yeah,
it's two
yeah,
sides of the
yeah.
same coin.
Yeah,
They said yes
yeah.
to me as well. And honestly, I have not looked back. I really enjoy what I'm doing. We have a fantastic team of on the content team, and it's making me a better writer. I joked a little bit in my interview because one of the questions was, what makes good writing? My answer was good editing. Um, I can
Yes,
put the words
absolutely
out
yes.
there, but when you put it out there all on your own and you're not editing, you don't have anyone else looking at it, it's fine. A lot of the stuff that I've put out in the past has been fine. It's good. Um, but a lot of it hasn't risen to great because I haven't had that extra piece of, oh, here's someone telling me, don't use this phrase. Let's reword this. Let's move things around a little
Mm,
bit. Oh, let's put
mm.
this paragraph here and that paragraph there.
Yeah,
Um, all of it makes me a little bit better because then I'm starting to see now, oh, let's edit myself a little bit. Because when you're doing it on your own, when you're writing your own blog, you can
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
do whatever you want. So it's been a really great leap. So for anyone, I hate the phrase, if I can do it, anyone can do it, because I don't believe that's true. But I think things to take away from what I did: talk to people, get a lot of opinions. You're not going to take everyone's advice. I had people who said, don't do it. And I did go back to them, like, I considered your advice. I really did. I just wanted you to know I've decided to go this way, and this is why, and be able to
Mm,
have those conversations, because
mm.
you need to weigh all the possibilities. You need to weigh in and think about some of that before you leap, just so that you're gonna look back with fewer regrets, I think, if you've taken a little bit of time to think about it. Not
Yeah,
that a spontaneous decision can't be a great one, but I'm a little bit more look before I leap. So I talk to people, think about it, do the math.
yeah. Do the
Know that
math.
the math's not always going to
Do the
be,
math.
uh, that shouldn't be your final call, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Everything else being equal, and as long as you're getting a
yeah,
decent salary, we're not talking $10 an hour. Um, I would have, we could have gone. You think about what you can do before leaping on it.
yeah. Many things that you have said, resonate a lot with me, right? Because I was taking the leap too.
Yeah.
Leaving the job security, we could
Yeah.
say, to keep going with Kodo People at that time. But also when you were talking about editing, because I'm trying to write in English too, and Spanish for sure, but in English too. And I had the help, for instance, of Perry Teams, which is
Mhm.
who is a great writer, blogging for them once, and also my business partner Antonio is, as I said,
Yeah.
he pays attention to every small word and detail or whatever in the paragraph, and the sense of the where are you writing.
Mhm.
So it made me better, definitely. And we need
Yes.
some people, in our side. Okay, I love the story, and it seems that you are enjoying your journey,
Yes.
again, this different journey.
It is.
So tell us a little bit about minerals culture, because you told me that the food is great, you are happy in the workplace. So tell us a little bit about the culture. I'm curious.
Yeah. Minerals culture is very much people first. And I've worked for a lot of organizations that say that. Worked for a lot of
Mm,
organizations that try to do
mhm,
it. This is the first place I've worked that I think is succeeding at it, because they're very focused on what do our employees need, what do they need to succeed, and how can we keep our employees connected
mhm.
when we're not in the same room. That's the big thing right now is you
Yeah,
have to be in the
yeah.
same room to collaborate, which I've never fully believed. And now we have the tools to not do that, but there's intentional connection at Mineral,
Okay.
not just within your own team, but throughout the organization. And we have this thing called Cuppa Connect, where every 2 weeks you are randomly assigned to have virtual coffee with somebody.
Oh,
And
that's great.
so I have met people in our accounting department, in our marketing department, in our content, obviously our content team, in our other operations side, in our HR department,
Mm.
and the C-suite. I've had coffee with the CEO, I've had coffee with the CHRO, and being able to connect with them, not about work. You're not supposed to talk about work during these. You sometimes
Yeah,
do because you want to learn. Oh, what do you do? Tell me a little bit about that. Um, but having the opportunity to get to know people on a connected level. So, the last one I was on, the gentleman and I were talking about kids and what they like to eat, and we got on the topic of fried chicken and how do you make fried chicken healthier and what are your options? And like 3 days later, he messages me on Slack and says, "Hey, just wanted to let you know because of our conversation, we had fried chicken at my house."
That's
So,
great.
just
That's great.
having those little
That's great.
connections with people, and then when and if we do get to see each other in person, because they do try to do that as well. You know who you're going to see, and that's for me. That's one of the things I really liked about social media, especially before going to like larger conferences, is I could reach out to people, I could schedule things, and know. I like to know. I'm not a big "Hey, surprise me" person. Um, but knowing what to expect makes that easier on me. And so
Yeah,
knowing who I'm going to see, knowing who I'm working with, really, really does that. So the thing that really hits for me though is because we're people first, that doesn't mean that we're ignoring our work. We're
yeah.
still trying, but we care. So as an employee, I care more about Mineral because I know other people in the organization. So I'm less likely to say, well, that's accounting's fault or that's marketing's fault, because we're working together. We've had a chance to meet, maybe. And if I haven't met somebody on that team, someone else on my team has. And so we have this relationship that we don't have to okay, well, the manager of this team needs to talk to the manager of this team before we can have
Mhm.
anything happen.
Mm. Mm.
So there's a lot more collaboration that
Yeah.
happens, because we can just reach out to people and say, "Hey, I'm Wendy. I'm in content. Can you help me with XYZ?" And making having that makes us a better organization for our clients to be able to provide a better product for our clients. So we've been saying it. I know a lot of us
Yeah.
HR folks for
Yeah.
years, the
Yeah.
ones that I've known online, we've been saying this for years. If we take care of our people, and to be in and experiencing it when, you know, I, I don't feel like, if we have to make decisions for business reasons, I don't feel like they're going to shortchange us as employees just to save a buck. Which
Yeah.
means then we're going to go above and beyond as well because our company cares about us.
Yeah, no, it sounds really great, and I know how difficult it is. How difficult it is to keep people engaged
Mm.
and avoid these communication silos.
Yeah.
That sometimes when we are working in a very or remotely or a distributed workforce is really difficult. And if people have this positive intent, connecting,
Hmm.
that's great. And once you find the organization to work in that way,
Yeah.
stay there for so
For
long,
sure. Well, and
stay there for so long.
you were saying silos. It's so easy for us to say that remote work makes those silos
Yeah,
bigger, but they've been in every organization I've ever worked for. Every time you've gone into a
even in
yeah,
presence, right?
even when you're in person,
Yeah.
there are those silos, and if you're not intentional about the connections, you're not going to be able to have a strong working environment with those other silos. You can't break them down just by saying we're going to break down the silos.
That's right. By the way, Wendy, what's in your glass, right? Let's go to the past. I have
Go to
my
the
red
past.
tea, made in milk. This Kodo people, we are Kodo people.
I love it. I love that mug. I was drinking coffee. I left it upstairs before I came down to record. Um, we got a new Keurig coffee maker at our house, and it has a milk steamer on it.
Oh, oh,
So we and my 12-year-old daughter now loves to make coffee for us. So we get caramel lattes and mochas
oh,
and all sorts of fun recipes that she's
coffees.
been coming up with. She goes out on Pinterest and
I
finds
think
different
Tracy.
recipes.
I think Tracy Spornenberg is gonna love it, right?
I think so. I think yeah, I would be surprised if Tracy doesn't have a milk frother at her house. But it's pretty cool to have it right attached, and so everything gets made at the same time. And yeah, we're getting a
Yeah,
little spoiled. We're going through a lot of milk now. We're trying out different almond milk and oat milk, and just see what we
yeah.
like. And shout out to Chobani's extra creamy oat milk. That's really good stuff. Never thought I'd be
Love
a
it, love it, love
non-dairy milk person, but
it, love it. Wendy, let's go into the topic today, talent acquisition today. You were working in talent acquisition for
Mhm,
so long, also in HR, different departments, different areas. And linking this to your comment about the minerals culture. What do you think about the importance of culture
mhm.
when it comes to hire new talent? Are you seeing this trend that people are asking for the culture instead of for the money or well, money is always there, obviously,
Yeah,
because we work for the money. But
right.
this shift, right? Um, what do you think? How important
Oh,
is the
for sure.
culture when it comes to hire?
Oh, culture is more important than ever. For those of us in the Gen X and, us older older generation, gosh, we're the older generation now. Um, I am so excited to see the younger generations coming in and asking for what they want.
Yeah,
Most of us in my generation, we were told, keep your head down, work hard, you'll get noticed. That's all you need, and it was basically about the bottom line. It was all about the money. And now more and more the younger generations are asking for what they want. They're asking for money, but they're also asking for culture. It's not they want to be someplace that they want to be. They
yeah,
don't wanna be there just for the money. Obviously, I'm generalizing. I know that somebody's gonna come up and say, "Well, so and so That's neither here nor there. What they're wanting is, again, they're coming out and asking for it, which, again, we were told, "Don't ask, just wait." But to be forward and bold about that, I think is fascinating, and to watch, at least here in the States, to see the changes that are coming through because of that. So, more and more states are requiring, job advertisements to post salary information, to post benefit information, and those
Mhm.
organizations that are doing it disingenuously are getting called out. So I think it was a bank posted their salary as $1 to $1,000,000. That's not a salary range. Because one, no, you're not paying anybody a dollar. You're not paying anyone a dollar an hour. You're not. So
What is
that's a
that?
lie right there, at
Where
least
is
with the
that?
minimum wage. Um,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and that's getting called out, and people are saying,
Yeah.
"No, that's not what was meant. That's not what you're supposed to do. You're not gonna get as many candidates." You'll get the people that just care about the bottom line, just the money, but you're not gonna be a successful organization in the long term. I mean, we're seeing all of the big names that are having trouble, looking at the tech industry,
Yeah.
and, you know, I heard that I don't remember where I heard it now, but they talked about the loud layoffs. So
Yeah.
we're hearing about these loud layoffs, these tech companies. No one else is laying off like that right now. It's just
No.
those loud tech companies, and a lot of what we're seeing is it's the bottom line. It's just about money. It's just about money, but people still wanna work in a place that has a strong culture. And the challenge is you can't really put your culture into a job ad because people aren't gonna believe
Well, we
you.
should. We
We
should.
should. So,
We
and
should.
I've said this for a while, and that's why your job advertising, your recruitment process, your sourcing process starts so long before someone even looks at that job ad.
Yeah.
They're gonna be your customers, they're gonna know somebody who knows somebody. That's how you're gonna get them and help them understand what your work culture is. And hint, everyone, I've said this for a while too, but you don't have a separate employer brand from your customer brand,
No, no.
your or product brand. You have
Yeah.
one brand. And if you try to
Exactly.
put a different brand out there for your employees, everyone's gonna see through it in a minute.
Exactly.
You can't hide. You can't,
No.
in the past you could hide things because it wasn't all laid out. And with all the trouble of social media and all the headaches of it, so much of this has been laid out and laid bare that everyone can see. So you definitely you have to be aware of that. Um, is people are gonna see through you
Yeah.
immediately, and people are gonna make
That's right.
decisions on that. And yeah, you're gonna find a few, but the people that are it's I haven't done any research on it, but I'm sure as we look at it, and incidental stories show that the people that complain that nobody wants to work, it's nobody wants to work for you.
Exactly.
That's the key.
Exactly.
So if you're putting up those signs, nobody wants
Interesting.
to work anymore, we switched our hours because
Mhm.
nobody wants to work anymore. No, nobody wants to work for you for whatever reason. People will do crappy jobs if they like where they work.
Yeah. And
People
the
will do
people
the
and the
crappy
people
jobs
who
if the
and the
yeah,
people that yeah.
if the people there that they like. We still have people going into housekeeping. We still have people going to work
Yeah.
in retail. People are still going to work, and it's not just for a dollar. It's not just for because they get an extra dollar an hour. It's because they like working there or they like who they work with. So you need to capitalize on that.
That's
Now,
right.
yeah,
That's
there's still a
right.
lot of crappy managers, there's still a lot of crappy jobs out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And
For
there are still
sure.
people who will take a job because,
For
"Hey, I
sure.
need a job." But
Yeah.
sometimes, I've talked with some people like, "Hey, 6 months at Walmart might be better than sticking it out in this
Yes,
crappy job.
yes, yes,
Well,
absolutely.
find
No,
something else."
and let me tell you that that is one of the reasons that we why Kodo people exist, right?
Mhm.
You know that we covered the behavioral
Yeah.
dimension, which is really important. And I was thinking of promoting internal promotion, how to
Oh, yeah.
promote a leader, a team leader, or whatever. And then if you don't consider that part maybe you are making the wrong decision, and then maybe you are promoting a toxic leader or a crap manager, whatever, and then people are going to leave you.
Mhm.
So that kind of thing is really important and is really intrigued in the culture, right?
Yes.
So it's a good thing. uh, uh, I was researching a little bit about some trends in talent acquisition for
Yep.
this 2023, um, and there are things that are pretty interesting to me. Like, for instance, it was taken from a conference study. No, moving around but not out.
Mhm.
Meaning by that, how people are moving inside the organization, trying to do
Yeah.
other stuff, right? Other jobs, other roles. Sorry, and also linked to productivity, right? Because
Mhm.
the pandemic has taught us that people are even way more productive working from home, even when they have to take it for homeschooling
Mhm.
or different things, family members or kiddos or whatever. They are super productive. So
Right.
that is not an excuse anymore. What do you think about this? Do you think this internal mobility is increasing, or do you think it's affecting to our productivity as an organization, or do you think this is not? um,
Oh, I think we should see more of it. I think we should have been seeing more of it for a long time now. We
yeah.
and it's something that, organizations talk about, but I haven't seen a lot, of folks doing it, but giving people different paths to success within your organization. Because traditionally, if you're really good at your job, we're going to promote you to supervisor, which means you're not going to do the job you were good at, and we're going to put you into a different job, which you may not be good at, and give you a few tools to be successful. Um, so allowing people, giving people other options for how can I be successful? How can I move around in this organization? Because when we also tend to pigeonhole people into, well, Fran, you have been really great at this recruitment job, so you could stay in HR. Might be able to move to a different area in HR, but we're not going to move you. You're not going to get to do marketing. We're not going to move you to finance or other areas that you might be interested in because we know you as this. And I've seen it in other organizations too, where I've been at, like we had one place I worked, we had this assistant in our office and she was phenomenal. She was great. And she would have been such a great recruiter, but we didn't think she was ready. We just kept saying, well, you're not ready yet. You're not quite ready yet. Well, she applied for a job at the competitor and she has been there for 15 years now. Very
Oh my gosh.
successful, moved up, senior recruiter, all of that.
Yeah.
And we lost out on it because we just kept saying, "Well, you're not ready," because we can't
Yeah.
envision you in a different role. So we need to be able to help people envision those roles. And we can't just say, "Well, what do you wanna do?" Because I don't know what you need as an organization. So give me options. You've seen this person working. What options do you have? Where else might they be successful? Can we let them shadow somewhere? Can we let them check it out? Can we give them a week trial somewhere to see, just kind of get a good feel for what does that job do? What does marketing do? Could someone in from recruitment move to marketing or vice versa? Probably, marketing is similar.
Yeah.
It's not the same, I know people are gonna come after me, and
No, no,
marketing,
no,
you're trying to
no,
get
no, no.
everybody, recruiting, you're trying to get one, but there's similar skills that can be used in that while you're talking and putting jobs out there, so how can you help people? Now, I have seen organizations, especially during the pandemic, do a great job of reskilling people.
Yeah.
Um, hey, let's get you're interested in this, let's skill you to that. You're interested in, you sort of the hospital I worked for, we had like healthcare, or excuse me, housekeeping workers who were interested in getting into some direct patient care. So we were able to train them up to get them into that a lot faster than before, which was like, okay, well, you can go take this 18-month
It's complicated.
course
It's
on your
complicated.
own dime, on your own time, and maybe then we'll put you in. No, we had to fast track. And so we figured out a way to fast track. So I think, as horrible as the pandemic was, it really fast tracked a lot of different things and getting people to think about work differently and to think about how do we promote people differently. Um, And how do we move people through recognizing them for the skills that they have, the skills that they've gained, reward them for that, give them more without saying, well, you have to be a supervisor in order for us to move you up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And also this is pretty tied to flexibility,
Mhm.
which I think is the word now, right?
Yeah.
Flexibility and culture. Flexibility and culture, right?
Flexibility is part of your culture, and figuring out how to make that work, and what does that mean? Because flexibility can mean a lot of different things based on the role and based
Yeah.
on what work needs to be done and how does it need to be done. So I think we saw a lot of organizations see that, yeah, I guess my work doesn't need to be done between the hours of 8 and 5 during the middle of the day. Some of the work can be done over the weekend. Some of the work could be done at night. Some of the work can be done differently. And figuring that out, the organizations that were able to flex with that have been very successful. The
Yeah.
organizations that have pushed back on it, you're seeing pushback on it. I think I saw Disney is now pushing to get their employees back in the office,
Yeah.
for collaboration. I think they did a pretty
I
good
think
job over
this
the
is
last 3 years.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, you know, when you are in person, you have the opportunity to be close to the people, to your team, and
Mhm.
this human interaction sometimes is needed. And because of that, I think hybrid work modalities for me are more pertinent than fully remote, even when we are fully remote. So,
Yeah.
but
I think there's a good balance, and I think organizations need to figure that out.
yeah,
What's gonna work for them, but I also think they need to talk with their employees about what's gonna work for them as well, because it's not cut and dried. Now, if you are providing like direct patient care, if you are, customer service, serving popcorn at the movies, or using the Disney example, if you are serving customers at Disney World, obviously you can't
hmm.
do that from home. Um, if you're doing, studio animation, you probably can't do that from home. But how can you make your work how do you make work for your employees? How do you provide a flexible
Yeah,
work environment, and what does that mean? Does that mean that, for employees that have to go into the office, are we providing some more PTO time so that they can have
yeah.
the ability to go to the doctor
Is
on
this is this a fallacy
time?
or is a real thing? Are there companies providing unlimited PTO, or is something super cool to
There are.
say and then okay,
There
okay.
are, so the problem with unlimited PTO is comes down to your culture. And do you
Yeah,
really have unlimited PTO, or do you just say you have it and your employees aren't encouraged to take it? So if you have unlimited PTO, you need to be sure your employees are using it, and you need to model as leaders. Your leaders need to take PTO and take time away and not be available. But if you have unlimited PTO and then you have a culture where it's all about who works the most hours and who's on
yeah,
call while they're sitting on the beach. Um, I've I have I've disengaged myself from some organizations when I start seeing that culture come out, because you're not going to talk about it. You're not going to talk about that in the interview.
no, no, no,
Oh,
no,
oh
no.
yeah, you can take as much vacation as you want as long as we can call you. As long as we can call you while you're.
There are not
I'm going to
vacations,
continue
right?
the Disney metaphor. Can we call you
The
while you're on the Matterhorn? Can we call you while you're in the middle of the Lion King
supermarket.
show? um, to have you answer a question. I mean, I have worked for leaders who I had one. I still remember this. She was on a ski vacation in Aspen, and like doing the helicopter drop type of stuff. But she was on calls with people every day. I'm like, aren't you supposed to be on vacation? Oh, well, I have to be on this call. No, you don't. If you hire the right people, if you trust the people that you've hired, you don't have
You
to
don't
be
have
on
to
this call.
be everywhere, right?
So that's a
Yeah,
hiring issue, and that goes back to TA helping to train those hiring managers. Make good calls when you are how do you make the right selection when you're maybe meeting with someone for a couple of hours, and it's not easy, but you have to trust. I mean, you're basically saying you don't trust yourself. If you don't trust the people you hire, you don't trust yourself to make a good decision on who you're hiring.
That's clear. That's
So
clear.
trust yourself that you've made a decent decision, and let someone prove that they don't deserve your trust.
Yeah, I always say the same. No, I
Yeah.
give you my trust till you
Yeah.
break it.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's my
exactly.
nature. I don't have motives to don't trust you in
Right.
the beginning because I hire you. So
I say that to my girls all the time. I'm like, I trust that you're making right decisions until you show me that you can't.
exactly,
And then we'll
exactly,
deal with that when that comes up. I'm not going to threaten you,
exactly.
but
Yeah. All right. And Wendy, what do you think is the aspect of critical or essential aspect regarding talent acquisition that we should pay attention or we should be paying more attention that we are
Ooh.
not? Do you have something, or are you saying? No, I
that's,
mean,
that's
no,
such a deep question, Fran.
yeah, for
Um,
another hour,
for
we can
another,
talk
yeah,
about it.
we'll get into a decent conversation. I think a lot of it really, like we were just talking about, it comes down to trusting that you're going to make a good decision and we need to do a better job of training our hiring managers, training our supervisors, anyone who's making a hiring decision on what that means and how to do it. For so long, we've done nothing, and we've kind of said anyone can recruit, anyone can be a recruiter, because you're basically just shuffling applications over to the hiring managers. Um, but that's not what a good recruiter should do. And that conversation between the hiring manager and the recruiter to make sure that the recruiter knows exactly what you're looking for, finding that person, bringing them to you, trusting your process, trusting that you have all of these steps in place that are going to help you make that right decision. You're not going to get it right 100% of the time because we're human.
Exactly.
We
And
are,
you're
but
right. You're
there are
right.
other processes in place to take care of that if you make a bad decision. But trust, again, trust that you've done everything right. You have a solid process. You have training for your hiring managers and people involved in interviews. And not your training isn't just what not to ask. It's not just don't ask if they have a kid. Don't ask about religion. That's not what I mean when training. It's how do you come up with a good question? How do you know what kind of answer you're looking for? What are you looking for in that question? If you want to ask what kind of tree would you be, why are you asking it? Tell me what you're looking for from this candidate. Are you looking for their creativity? Are you looking for their thought process? What are you looking for when you ask questions? And then being able to articulate that in writing. I'm one of those people that I was taught recruitment by the seat of your pants. Ask these questions, write down your answers, and make a decision. What? We have to do better at that. Um, but again, if you have, make sure you have a solid process of it. Make sure you're training people, and then trust everybody.
Yeah, if not, you're lost.
I'm not one of those people. I'm not a respect needs to be earned, trust needs to be earned. You should automatically, as all humans, we should automatically have a little bit of respect and trust for everyone that we meet. And if you're going to hire somebody, you've obviously decided or seen enough in that interview selection process that you want this person to be a part of your organization. So bring them in, train them, show them what they're doing, but don't disrespect them the minute they walk in the door. Treat them like a child the minute they walk in the door, simply because you can't trust them because they're an employee now. Employees are just going to
Yeah,
take advantage of you. I don't, what
it
is
doesn't
that
make
magic
sense. No,
threshold
it
that
doesn't make sense
people,
at all. Yeah. No, and the sentence that I remember an interview with Steve Jobs, saying if you hire smart people, you should let them work,
yes,
right? And then you trying to remove roadblocks as a manager or as a leader or as a CEO or as a founder or whatever, um, and trying to add value to them too. So, I think is the perfect ending. We are gonna wrap up. We are gonna go through the last section, and I have a question related to our staff behaviors,
Okay.
right? What is the behavior that you love the most when it comes to hiring or in general in the workplace? Something that you say, yeah, I always look for this because this is a must for me.
Um, well, and I appreciate you prepping me for this one, so I had a little chance to think about it.
Yeah,
Really, honestly, I think adaptability,
yeah,
it is key, regardless of what you're doing, what your organization is, where your processes are at, is being able to shift and adapt. And I think we saw that a lot in the
yeah,
last 3 years.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
Work has changed a lot around the world, and we have to be able to keep up with that. We have to be able to shift a little bit, and and as long as you have strong open communication around those changes, around any place that you're asking employees or candidates or anyone to be adaptable to it, your open communication, they're going to go with you. They are.
yeah.
And
They're gonna follow you.
they're
They're
going to
gonna
follow
follow
you if
you
you're open
if
about
you
it.
explain the purpose of the
Yes.
change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Explain why. And don't just say it's business,
No, no.
because that's meaningless phrase.
Everything is business.
Everything
Everything
is business,
is business.
obviously.
Everything is
But
business.
helping people understand and see your thought process and understand the why.
Mm.
Because people, I don't think people are really that scared of change like we talk about.
Oh, there is a
They're
resistance.
they're scared of they're scared because they don't know what's going to happen. If
Yeah,
you
we
can
are
be
not.
upfront,
Yeah,
you can be upfront with them and tell them here's what's going to happen and here's why. They're more likely to go along with you.
no,
I
absolutely.
I a few years ago I was working for the university here, and we were going through a huge change. We're moving one of our systems to an online system, and we were giving everyone a mobile device so that they could stay in communication, they could get their new job orders and all of this
Mhm.
stuff. And there was a lot of resistance. And when we sat down and talked to them and asked what's the
The
what's the
reason why.
resistance, why are you so scared of this, they're like, well, I'm not used to it. I'm like,
Yeah,
oh,
it's
okay.
about usability. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So it's like we went, this is going to make you more efficient. Nobody's losing their jobs. Just because we're more efficient doesn't mean you're going to lose your jobs. It's just going to mean we're going to get our jobs done on time. Um, and hey, we're going to give you all your mobile devices early. And we made sure they had access to games on them so that they could get used to how to use a mobile device. This was back when most of our workers were older, and if they had a mobile phone, it was a flip phone. So they were very scared of a smart device. So, we made sure that it had these games on it so that they could play them and get used to using the device.
Yeah, as a
And
part of the training. Yeah,
as part of the training.
yeah,
And,
adaptability. Yeah,
we trusted, there's that word again, we trusted that they weren't going to take advantage of us. We trusted that they weren't going to be on their devices 24, they weren't going to be playing games when they should have been working, and they weren't. Um,
yeah.
they were using their devices the way they were meant to be. Did we have some issues? Of course, because we were dealing with
Like,
humans.
yeah, yeah,
But rather
yeah.
than punishing everybody, we dealt with those one or two people that we had issues with,
Well,
and
yeah,
everyone else was able to go on along their way. And I think that was, and that made that transition so much easier, because once we figured out what their resistance was, we were able to alleviate their fears. So getting
yeah.
into that why,
Fear is the word when
fear
we
is the
when
word.
it comes
Yeah.
to adaptability and change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't want to change because this is what I know. Okay, well, we're going to do this now, and here's how it's going to make your life better.
and we
And
are
if
gonna
it's
guide
not,
you.
yeah, and if it's not going to make their life better, let's talk about why we made the decision to make their life a little bit
Yeah,
harder.
yeah,
Is it going to be better for
yeah,
somebody else? Is it, it's like, oh,
yeah.
well, if we make it better for our customers, that's going to make our lives better, because now we're not dealing with all of these calls, because they can go here, like, oh, okay, well, that is making my life better. Even if it's making it a little bit harder here, in the long run, it makes it better. It's just to help them understand. Like I said, it's not the change that they fear. It's how does this affect me? And what is my
Love it.
life going to look like next week when this change happens?
Love it. I love the story. And I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Adaptability is key. Actually, we assess that as a part of the screening phase when
Mhm.
it comes to hire, because it's absolutely essential.
It is.
Wendy, friend, thank you so much for
It's so
taking the time
awesome.
to be with us. I
Yeah,
enjoyed a lot of the conversation. It was super fun,
very fun.
and happy that you are our second guest
Yeah.
uh, in Kodo People Talks. So, to our audience, see you next time. Stay tuned because we are preparing some new episodes. And thank you for being with us. Take care.
Thank you for
Bye.
having me.